Kieran, good morning to you.
Morning, lads. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I don't know how I am. Oh, Jesus, I don't know how I am.
I'll tell you what, just hang on a second there. Hang on a second. We'll get the video back for 1 second. We've got Peter Keane standing by. Hang on.
Well, look, I suppose we've lived to fight another day, so look, we'll go away and prepare and come back again on Saturday week.
Are you happy with it, or how do you feel about it?
Sure, look, we've another All-Ireland final to play in, so I suppose every time you play an All-Ireland final, aren't you looking forward to it?
I'd say you would be, though some cynics might say perhaps this was the one that might have gotten away from Kerry. You were a man up, some scoring chances went right, now some great performances as well, but some things I'm sure you probably look back on a bit and go, oh God, if only that went one way or another.
Mara Trass, if I were you, I wouldn't be listening to any cynics.
Well, I'm quite cynical myself.
Well, you shouldn't. You need to get out of that. Look, we played in an All-Ireland final. We were up against a team that were looking for, I think, 7 All-Irelands in the last 9 years. They have a bucket load of experience. And look, we gave it a shot, and we'll give it another shot again Saturday week.
Better than a shot. I'd say you must be very proud of them. Some of them are so young to be on that stage.
Sure, of course we're proud of them. We've been proud of them all year, and look, 'tis an opportunity to come and learn again.
Okay, I'll let you go back into that dressing room. I'll stay safely outside. Gurvila Mads, Peter Slán.
Yeah, giving nothing away there, but he must be happy with the quality of performance that his team put in, Kieran, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, he will be extremely happy. Yeah, you know, if you said yesterday that Clifford and Gainey get 2 points between them, and Kerry will score 116 and draw, he would have taken it. But at the same time, you know, the performances of Sean O'Shea, the performances of the defenders, Tyg Morley did very well. Tom Sullivan again was good. Gavin Crowley I thought was really good, and I thought Paul Murphy was good as well. So for, you know, a lot of the Kerry fellas will be very happy with the performances yesterday. So that will please Peter. But Peter knows there's a lot more improvement in Kerry as well.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's like if you look back at game after game after game after game, there's been a steady stream of improvement, but they've actually come on in leaps and bounds since they got to Croke Park. First half Tyrone, not so good. Second half Tyrone, great. The whole game yesterday, they were excellent. Like they were actually kind of that middle section of the game, from the first quarter on. They were dominant but not scoring. They were actually killing Dublin on the kick out. So if the level of progression continues the way it has been, then they're going to be an even better team the next day.
That's what they'll be, you know, that's what they'll be hoping for. But they'll know as well is that a lot of their guys really performed well and beat their counterparts. And you know, I said in my article on Friday that we need to see a lot of 9 out of 10s after the Kerry players' ratings on Monday if they're to be in the game, and that's what we had. There was a lot of 9 out of 10 guys. And when you get an All-Ireland final and you get a lot of 9 out of 10 performances, you kind of hope to win it. But at the same time, Kerry were 5 points down and should have been 6 down with about 14 minutes to go. So, you know, they'll take great heart about how they came on, and they'll take great heart about what their bench brought yesterday. And, you know, for a young team like that, who would have said, no, we can go at these guys. And I'm sure the forwards would have been looking at certain matchups going, he can't mark me, he can't mark me. And you know, they'll be saying he couldn't mark me, but I only kicked 2 points. And I'm probably talking about David Clifford. You know, you'd imagine there'll be a huge kind of response from him the next day in terms of the simple things that he did wrong yesterday. I thought he was really good, barred a few kind of shots that just were unlike David Clifford. You can be sure that Saturday week that won't be the case. He'll have fine-tuned that, and there could have been a bit of tension in his first All-Ireland final. There's loads that goes into it, but for the forward unit, I thought himself and Gainey worked very well together. Their understanding was really good. I think there's more in Stephen O'Brien. I think we need to put him over in Jack McCaffrey. I think we need to make Jack McCaffrey go backwards. You can't. I think putting defender on Jack McCaffrey is almost succeeding or allowing him to say, come on away up the pitch and see if you can score against us. And Jack McCaffrey is the best attacking half back possibly the game has seen. So wouldn't be the greatest defender in the world going backwards. So Stephen O'Brien would have the pace and strength to go with him on a defensive side, but I'd be putting him on over there and kind of saying, give Stephen O'Brien as much ball as you can and see if you can make him go backwards.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's probably not a bad move. I was thinking, Kieran, it would either be between O'Brien or Murphy, to try, because obviously Durkin in the semi-final for Mayo kind of showed what needs to be done on McCaffrey. I think he ended up with 3 points from play, Durkin, and he did exactly as Kieran said. He turned McCaffrey, and he made McCaffrey obviously go the other way, which he doesn't want to do.
No.
Like for a lot of times yesterday, it was nearly like McCaffrey was free. It kind of amazed me. He came onto balls sometimes with no one near him. Now I know Gavin White was over there, but I think he was kind of dropping off him.
He was dropping, yeah.
Yeah. But it was funny. Like, I mean, it was. I was kind of saying to myself, like, McCaffrey had a number like 1-3. But at the same time, I didn't really see anyone that was kind of targeted or tasked to mark him, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, like I guess that when you're marking him, in your head you're kind of saying the safe thing to do here is drop off him a bit, you know. Whereas if I go up to him and he goes past me, it's going to be open sesame the whole way down the pitch. So, but the fear of dropping off him is that he's coming at such pace, and Kerry looked back in the Dublin goal, and their press was extremely impressive yesterday, and Peter Keane and Tommy Griffin and the lads have to get huge credit for. And the players would have had a lot to do with that, saying, look, we want to put on this press, we want to go for the jugular, and they made 2 slight mistakes on the press, and it was something that when we started doing it in 2016, it was something that we talked big about. One is you can't go to catch the ball unless you're 100% sure you're going to catch it. Yeah. And I think Gavin White was backing up trying to catch the ball with Brian Howard behind him. You can't get into that position. You got to be the guy that's behind Brian Howard, trying to just box it in to your players inside. And the other thing that when Brian Howard had that amazing catch, and it was one of the greatest bit of fielding we've seen in Croke Park in a long time, I hope one of the cameramen got a shot of him at his peak. But Paul Murphy and Adrian Spillane, when they were retreating, didn't retreat deep enough, quick enough to maybe just, like, you're putting on the press and it's risk reward, but like Kerry did it very well yesterday, only for that instance, is that, if they'd have just dropped back to the D straight away, Adrian Spillane came across the field, whereas if he'd just gone straight to the D, they might have just conceded a point there, and it would have been no harm. It would have been, I think it would have been level after that. So the goal was something Dublin needed, and it kind of fed them, and they were able to kind of hold on to it for an extended period of time afterwards. But Kerry will be looking at all of them things, and how to get better. But it was a huge facet of the game yesterday. But yeah, I just think one of the little tweaks that might be made would be, you go with Stephen O'Brien over in one wing. You maybe go on Adrian Spillane for his work rate and his tackling and his industry that he showed yesterday, and he kept it simple on the ball. He didn't go into too much contact. He gave it to the footballers around him. And he did a lot of good work and tackling and stuff like that. And look, Tommy's going so well and causes them such problems from the start. It's hard to see that. It's nice to have him in reserve, but I think Kieran Spillane was so impressive coming off the bench yesterday. Now that he could be a momentum guy for Kerry later on. James Donaghy's another 2 weeks to make an impact there. We only had 2 inside forwards on the bench yesterday, Ger. So I'd look to get James in. We had 7 or 8 defenders. I think Mark Griffin was number 26. And we had a lot of guys, halfbacks, fullbacks, kind of midfielders on the bench, whereas we Tommy Walsh and obviously Kieran Spillane, who didn't start, but we really only had Tommy as our only inside forward to come off the bench. Yeah,
and so does Tommy start for you then the next day? That's kind of what you're leaning to?
I think so, yeah. But look, I was advocating for the last 2 weeks, and I was saying, 5 or 6 minutes into the second half, get Tommy on here. We need a bit of a momentum lift, but he just causes them. So he causes them a huge matchup issues. Like you're bringing James McCarthy, who didn't have a great day by his standards yesterday, but you're bringing him into the full back line where the ball David Moran put into Tommy, like you could see how uncomfortable James was in that situation. He's just ball coming over his head. You could see he was just kind of going into let Tommy catch it, and we only had one guy coming off, and that was Sean O'Shea. He did very well to get the point. But if you start with Tommy and you get 1 or 2 of those nice balls into him, and you get a Shawnee O'Shea or a Clifford or a Gainey coming off Tommy, and there could be goals, and I think you'll get away with the fact that if you get Stephen O'Brien out of the full forward line where he was yesterday, even though he wasn't in there, but that's what they did. Stephen went inside. Jack Barry came to the middle of the field, and Adrian Spillane went to wing forward where Stephen was. But like, you can get Stephen out in the half-hour lengths. I didn't think Stephen, there's way more in him. He was good yesterday, but there's a way more in him. And I think if you give Stephen O'Brien the challenge of going at Jack McCaffrey, that's something he can relish and really tune into for the next 2 weeks. Both saying, I'm going to put him in the back foot and he's not going to get 1-3. And it maybe allows Kerry to go with Tommy from the start. And because I think Tommy on our press, I think if we're putting on our press, especially from frees, I think you get Tommy Walsh out to the spots where Gavin White was beaten a few times yesterday. Yeah. And all of a sudden you've Tommy, Dave Moore and Jack Barry, Adrian Spillane. You're kind of going along the lines of that Dublin middle line in the press.
That makes a lot of sense. Can he last the full game? Is that why he's not starting? Is it something to do with fitness?
No, I don't. It's nothing to do with fitness. In 2014, I played about 15 minutes of championship football before I was brought on against Mayo in Croke Park, having not played all year with an osteopubis injury. And Tommy's in much better shape than me, and I went on and played 98 minutes in the replay in the Gaelic grounds the week after. So Tommy definitely can play the 70 or 80 minutes, or do what Tyrone have had the courage to do in the past, and maybe start him and bring him off for Killian Spillane with 25 minutes to go. And if you need a presence there late on, or you're losing and you need somebody in there to cause a bit of pandemonium, throw him back in with 7 or 8 minutes to go. But yeah, there's look, Kerry management team, we're all trying to figure things out, but they're the lads that are watching all the training. They're the lads that know best. And in fairness to Peter Keane and his management team, Donny and Tommy and Morris Fitz, they didn't get much wrong yesterday.
No, they're pretty good.
No, they got an awful lot right. My only probably concern for them, and not a concern, but I think the next day Dublin are obviously going to come out with all guns blazing in that first 15 minutes. The kind of the rhetoric after the game was, Dublin won't be as bad, which is Kerry can get also much better. Yeah. So I don't truck with that at all, but they're definitely going to come hard and fast in those first 15-20 minutes to really try to put doubt into Kerry's mind. So I'd like to get your opinion, Kieran, on I thought there was some guys, even Sherwood, who came on. I think he brought a bit to it. Spillane brought a bit to it. Tommy, as you say, brought massive things to it. And I don't think Kerry, I thought some fellas were in there maybe to restrict a little bit and maybe contain, where I think they really have to go for it the next day. They have to match fire with fire in that first 15-20 minutes. And whether they have to take lads off with 20 minutes to go, fine, because they're spent. But they really have to go at it. They have to make sure they're in the game for as long as they can, get to half-time, or even ahead, and actually put the doubts back in Dublin's mind, that actually Dublin defenders go, actually, hold on a second, because I agree with you. I think Clifford can have a better day. I think Geedy can have a better day, like we were just referencing earlier on. I haven't seen the Kerry forward line not fire as much as badly as it did yesterday. And I think there's a plenty more in them. And I think Clifford will learn from the experience. You said that yourself. He was snapping at things. He's young. He'll learn from that. He'll realise, actually, I just have to take these fellas on a bit. Go at it. Because when he went at Fitzsimons that time, like he went at him 3 times in the second half, and he still found the space for that lovely score he got off his left foot. So, I think what changes would you make for them to really push hard outside Tommy? Would you bring anyone else in?
Yeah, Miles, you're probably right on the Sherwood thing. You see, if Kerry are really going to go after them and really going to go after them with the press, if you switch out, Sherwood and we'll say Brino Begliak, and if you switch out Tommy Walsh with a Gavin White, all of a sudden, your press looks an awful lot bigger and stronger when Cluxton is looking out the pitch. So if you are going to go down trying to get this press on as much as possible, and like when you've got somebody like Seanie O'Shea, who's all of a sudden, you can say any free from inside 55 yards, you can start thinking about press, because if he doesn't score, he's going to kill it. So, and possibly even getting into it from set plays. Because I think Breen, like Jack, they can bring an awful lot, whether they start or come on. They're very interchangeable. But what the slight difference between the two of them is, Jack is about maybe 2 inches bigger, 3 inches bigger, a bit stronger. That's Jack Sherwood, of course. But Jack Barry has to get huge credit yesterday again. He gave Kerry a huge platform earlier on in the game, even though we dominated for the first 10 minutes. We were 3-1 down, and you were kind of going, Jesus, we're dominating here, but we're still down. But I think Kerry Moran was a colossus, and I think if you try and line up a lot of these big fellas out in the press and really ramp up the pressure on Cluxton, and I think a few times yesterday he kind of, unlike him, made bad decisions on a few long kickouts, and but then he's laser like for the one to Howard, because you could see him lining it up to Howard. Howard had his hand in the air because he saw Gavin White was 10 yards in front of him. So it's if you're going to go for it, and Kerry did go for it yesterday. They huge intent early on, and you're right about Clifford, and you're right about Gainey. Like, Gainey didn't score yesterday, but he was class. He led the line. He was ballsy. He was in their face. He won ball. He thundered into fellas. He got very lucky for a 50-50 ball. Dave Moran played him a pass, and himself and Howard just had a great contest. Like, if it was a hurling game, you'd be like, oh, it's a great belt. There was a free given for it on Paul, but he tackled, he worked, he moved well. He has the class, and I think it was about as good as Kerry could hope for on going up to a first All-Ireland final with 17 fellas having not had a medal before and 17 fellas not have played in a senior game. They will come away, and for the next 2 weeks they'll be like going, Jesus, lads, we kind of you'd always believe it wasn't too bad, and you talk all week, we can do it, but
you don't believe it until you do it.
Yeah, when you're going up against a crowd that have won it 4 times in a row, and they're this power-packed machine, and all of a sudden you're out there looking pretty comfortable against them at stages while not putting it on the scoreboard. But it wasn't like we weren't putting it on the scoreboard and not giving ourselves the chances. Kerry were James McCarthy, I watched back last night when I came home, and James McCarthy for the goal, for the clearance off the line on Gainey, like, this is where the game intelligence from the Dublin lads is so impressive. You could see that he was like, we're under a bit of pressure here. A lot of fellas would have gone rushing at maybe Shawnee O'Shea's hand pass and left the corner open. You could see him, he retreated back, he knew they were under a bit of pressure, and he was there to block it. The Gainey penalty miss, if he had it back, he probably puts it on the deck maybe, or goes a bit higher. I think it was a good height for Cluxton. So look, there's a lot of things that Kerry will say that we can do better on. And Dublin, don't get me wrong, there's loads. I saw Jim Gavin's interviews afterwards, and I wouldn't like to be the Dublin lads. You could tell the pressure of the 5 in a row. John Small had a shot up into the air. That's all kind of like just pressure stuff. That's Mannion was ballooning shots up into the air, so unlike them, but that's, you go back to the lads of 82, and that's, a lot of them said that they did stuff that day that was, that they didn't really normally do.
Not moving Johnny Cooper off Clifford after he got a booking is one of the weirdest managerial decisions I can remember. For somebody who is so calm, so cool, not to spot that Johnny Cooper was going to get in trouble again was unbelievable, really, from Jim Gavin. What happened? Did he freeze?
I don't know. I'd say he might have. I don't know how. I was worried in the last 10 minutes because Thomas Sullivan was in a very similar predicament, and he was left on Conor Callahan too. And I was kind of like going, Jesus, we have to get him off him here. We have to put Tom to the half-back line where he can just start going up and down the field. But he was doing well in him. So, sometimes managers just go with it, and their guys kind of get a bit of a buzz off of being trusted on a yellow to go do a job. But, I don't know. Like, for me, Bernard Brogan has to be on the squad the next day. There were certain players yesterday didn't take on stuff that I think Bernard would have taken on, and I think Jim gets away. When you're winning, you're bulletproof. And if Dublin had lost that game yesterday, there'd be so many questions that Jim would have to answer.
Do you mean
probably for the first
shooting chances, that some of the Dublin forwards didn't take shooting chances when there was a chance for them to shoot?
Yeah, I thought there was a small bit of tentativeness later on, and I think with Brogan having been there and done it so much before. But again, we're talking here. But look, all I heard is that he's going very well in training. But the decision to leave Johnny on, and I think with the way that David Goff refs and that he watches out for the pulling and dragging, it led to a lot of these Dublin fellas who call a spade a spade. They're a mean, tight, aggressive. They pull, they drag, they're in your face. You know, they've been doing it for years. It's what's made them. It's what I've always said, that the forwards have always got the credit for Dublin, but it's their backs and it's their dark arts and it's their tightness and it's the stuff that you really want out of a group of defenders is what makes this Dublin team. And, you know, yesterday Johnny was pulling and grabbing like he normally does. And normally gets away with it, but with David, David and these umpires and linemen, they're looking out for all that kind of stuff, and you could tell he was struggling probably because of that fact.
Yeah.
It's the first time in a while that I saw the Dublin defenders really, as you say, usually it's a physical matchup, you know, and they kind of they bowl you over with that. But it's the first time in a long time, especially Seanie O'Shea on McCarthy. It's the first time I saw McCarthy kind of, you know, under real pressure with a fella, both from a football point of view and a physicality point of view.
Yeah, and a mental point of view, Milesy. Sean O'Shea yesterday, mental fortitude for a 20-year-old. I marked him when he was 17 in a county championship game and underestimated him big time. I was dizzy after him coming off the pitch. He was kicking pints, he was running, he was hopping into me. You know, I wanted to try and grab him, but I couldn't catch him. He was imperious yesterday with the dead ball, which really kept Kerry calm and kept Kerry in the game. I think if Seanie O'Shea misses 3 or 4 of those frees, I think Dublin probably go on to win by 7 or 8 points. Twice the Hill started singing "Come on you boys in blue" while Seanie was standing over a 55-metre free, and he banged the 2 of them over the bar just to kind of, all right lads, settle down the Hill, we're still hanging around this. Look, you know, you got to look at the size of Clifford and you got to look at the size of Seanie O'Shea. Like Seanie O'Shea is 6'1" or 6'2", Clifford 6'4", Tommy's 6'5". They're big boys size wise to you know, to pull and drag, and I was never really too worried about Clifford or Seanie O'Shea in that respect. You know, in places like Monaghan last year, I remember being kind of, you know, will I say something to David Clifford, or will I say, you know, this is going to be tough, they're going to be at you? And I looked around after 2 minutes and I've said this before, he drew Riley by the scruff of the neck walking him back 10 yards. So I was like, they'll be fine, these fellas. So like, you know, they gave as much as they got yesterday. And you know, but Dublin will say, you know, we've got so many guys that didn't do it yesterday. And if you look at that on par with Kerry had so many fellas that did do it. Yeah. And Dublin had a lot of fellas that didn't do it. So you know, if you weigh them up, well, if you weigh up the performances of a lot of their guys, if you said Ger to you yesterday out in Portmarnock there when we beat the shite out of you on the golf course, if we said that, you know, Johnny Cooper would have a horror show, would be sent off, Fenton would be beaten in the middle of the field, well, James McCarthy would be very quiet, you know, Kilkenny would be kept quiet enough until late on in the game. Cloncalan and Mannion would have 3 points between them. You'd be kind of going, all right, Kieran, were you out last night or what was going on? So look, there's a lot of things went for Kerry yesterday. Dublin will be still favourites going into the replay, but Kerry will have a sense of, by God, we can compete. And, you know,
well, this team are here now for good. That Kerry team announced themselves yesterday. They're going to be all-out contenders every single year for the next decade with those 2 forwards at the forefront of it, and everybody else comes, like, they're here. They're a real team now.
Yeah, they are. They're. Look, they've a lot of these guys coming through. Know nothing else. You know, they beat Dublin in the league final in 2017. You know, they beat Dublin in 3 this year in the league. You know, they've drawn with them yesterday. You know, a lot of these guys are kind of. They didn't have the baggage that we'll say the older guys had, where, you know, we'd lost a few big games in a row to Dublin, and, you know, it was that can play in you as a player. Whereas these guys are just, you know, and Peter Keane has to get huge credit for the job he did. And, you know, for people down in Kerry, there was a huge amount of pride in the crowd. I thought the Kerry fans were outstanding yesterday. You know, they really at certain stages really got behind the Kerry team, and we'll need more of that again on Sunday and maybe earlier in the game. But you could see the transfer from the crowd down to the players.
Yeah.
After Spillan's goal, the Kerry crowd were up. They were standing. There was a lot of green and gold in the stands, and you could see the players. You could see Spillan when he scored the point after the turning around to the crowd. You know, players feed fans feed players, but players can feed fans. And if you get the both of them going, like this crack of people saying, "Oh, don't celebrate and don't," that's the biggest load of shite of all time. If you get a big score in a game or you get a big goal, turn around to your crowd and give them a fist pump, and all of a sudden their decibels are going to rise for the next few minutes. They're going to get a bit more boisterous, and that helps you then when you're trying to play and win 50-50 ball. Momentum is huge in the game, and Kerry didn't have it for long stages yesterday. They had it early on, and they had it late on. But like Dublin, what a job by 14 guys to get 4 turnovers in the last 7 or 8 minutes. And Kerry, that's the part of the game Kerry will be disappointed in. If they had their time back, guys took it into contact, they took it into bodies. You know, they had an extra man. If the roles were reversed yesterday, and Dublin had that point lead with 5 or 6 minutes to go, I don't think they would have made the mistakes like that. But Kerry will take huge learnings from that over the next 2 weeks. They'll talk about it. They'll say, lads, if we're in this position again, you know, we just got to be smarter. You got to realise you can't go running into 4 or 5 big, strong Dublin lads. Like, the whole Dublin team are massive men, so you can't go taking the ball into contact. And I think Kerry did that a few times yesterday, whereas they could have, especially with the extra man, should have probably maybe used Shane Ryan a bit more, bring him out the pitch a bit more, and walk the ball up further up the pitch and try and hold it and try and kill off the game.
Yeah, no doubt they'll be talking about all that kind of stuff in training over the next couple of weeks. Kieran, good stuff. Thanks a million.
No bother, Jar. Okay, bye. Sound all right, Anthony.
That's Kieran Donaghy there. One comment was about where's it gone? Great game of football yesterday, says Sarah. Kieran looked very dapper on Sky. Loved the gold tie and pocket hanky. He's obviously a man to rock a pocket square.
There you go.
I haven't quite carried that off myself yet.
You'll get it, Ger. You'll get it.